Today we're going to be reviewing the Mark 6 Volkswagen GTI. Now in most videos you'd see this car on the track or on the hoist, but we're going to be taking a look under the hood and underneath the vehicle to see what's inside and how it works. Now underneath the hood of the Mark 6 GTI we have the EA888 2-liter turbocharged engine situated transversely for front wheel drive. Taking a look at the layout under the hood here, we have the engine situated on the passenger side and the 6-speed manual transmission located underneath this battery. Over here we have the fuse box, the air intake at the front here, and on this side we have the coolant and windshield washer reservoirs. And we're going to start here on the top of the engine where we have the 4 ignition coils with easy accessible spark plugs underneath. We have a metal valve cover, and this engine takes 5W40 weight oil. On the top here, this big thing is the Pcv valve, and it's responsible for separating oil coming from the crankcase and ventilated out to the air intake to be reburned. Underneath the valve cover we have the intake side here and the exhaust side over here. Driven off of the intake side is the high pressure fuel pump for the direct injection, and off the exhaust side is the vacuum pump. Now this engine only has direct injection, which means that we have the gasoline that comes in over here. It gets pressurized by the high pressure fuel pump, which is driven off of the intake camshaft and then sent down to the direct injectors down underneath the intake manifold. There are no port injectors up at the top here. Now one of the disadvantages of having direct injection only is that the intake valves don't get cleaned by the gasoline, and therefore these engines are susceptible to carbon buildup. So now we've talked about spark and fuel, we're next going to talk about the air intake system on this turbocharged engine. Air starts its journey at the front here where it passes through the air filter. It then goes through the mass airflow sensor and makes its way down to the turbocharger to get pressurized at the back. Pressurized air will then come through a tube routed underneath the engine here to the intercooler to get cooled off. Now we have the charged air intake pipe that brings pressurized air into here and then travels through the intercooler across to the other side over to this pipe over here, where it then goes up into the throttle body and pushed into the air intake manifold to get burned in the engine. Now this air intake has an auxiliary pipe that tees off of the throttle body and goes into a noise generator underneath the windshield cowl. And this is what the noise generator looks like underneath the windshield cowl. So with the air intake removed, we have clear access to the side of the engine where we have the high pressure fuel pump here, the variable intake runner length actuator here, the purge valve here, and the drive-by-wire throttle body down here. Now the variable intake actuator actuates this lever here, which moves the flap on the intake manifold to lengthen or shorten the intake runner length for either better mixing or faster airflow. Now on the passenger side of this engine, under the upper timing cover, we have a timing chain, which is great because you don't have to service it. Now only on the intake side we have variable valve timing with this actuator located over here. Now also on the side of the engine we have the drive belts. At the top here we have the alternator. Further down there we have the AC compressor, the idler pulley, and then the crank at the bottom. Now the alternator on this engine is held on by 4 bolts, the 2 top ones, and this one here is easy to access, but the one down behind here sometimes requires removal of the AC compressor according to the manual, or a really tight ratcheting wrench. Now the belt tensioner on this engine is held onto this accessory bracket, which also houses the oil filter and the oil pressure switch, and removing this belt tensioner requires you to drop the engine down because this engine mount is in the way. Now one of the most common problems on these TSI engines was that the timing tensioner would fail and it would skip a tooth, causing catastrophic engine damage. Now Volkswagen did update the timing tensioner, and you got to check to see if your vehicle has the updated one. Now oil changes on this car are pretty easy. We have the oil filter located on the top of the engine underneath this fuel line here, right next to the dipstick. Now this engine also has an oil cooler located underneath this plastic intake manifold next to the oil filter. Now this engine still uses a cast iron block but an aluminum head. And here we are underneath the GTI. On this side here you can see we have the engine and its oil pan, and on this side we have the transmission. So here we have the oil pan on the bottom of the engine. It's really easy to access all the way around. You can see this one's actually got an active leak here. Now this quick release has been added to make oil changes even faster. And just in front of that oil pan is the AC compressor, which is fairly easy to access. So with the air intake removed, we have clear access to the top of the engine. We have the shifter cables here which connect to the shifter levers for this manual transmission. Inside of the bell housing here we have the flywheel and clutch assembly. Over here we have the starter motor, which is fairly easy to access, and here's a bleeder screw for the slave cylinder inside. And over on the transmission side we have the drain plug and the fill plug. Changing transmission fluid is pretty easy. Just drain it out and pump it in through here until it slowly dribbles out. Now moving away from the transmission, you can see we have clear access to the starter motor from underneath. Now inside of this housing is where the differential is located and the CV shaft comes out. You can see the CV shaft is a large diameter over here, but it is actually hollow as it goes out to the wheel. However, over on the driver's side, the shaft is solid. Now, one of the main problems in the GTIs with the automatic DSG transmissions is that the mechatronics would go out, and that's really expensive to replace. Now, another weak point is the rear main seal, which is known to leak oil between the engine and the transmission here. Now the battery on the Volkswagens are located underneath this box here, and the fuse box over here. I like how they're nice and covered. Now one good thing is the ECU is not located underneath the hood, but in fact it's underneath the windshield cowl, well protected under here. Now this engine has two main mounts, one on the engine side over here, and one on the transmission side underneath the battery here. And underneath here we have the rear engine mount that just resists torsion. It doesn't actually hold the engine up. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the cooling system on this engine, starting over here at the coolant reservoir. Now there's no official radiator cap anywhere, and that's because it's actually built into the reservoir lid, and it's just all made of plastic. We've got coolant lines here that go straight down to the turbo at the back, and we've got some other coolant lines that come across the front here underneath the intake manifold. Now up at the front of this car we have two cooling fans, and we have the lower radiator hose and upper radiator hose that run underneath the intake manifold. Now at the firewall we have these two hoses that go into the heater core. One of them go into the cylinder head, and the other one goes underneath the intake manifold. Now the reason why all the coolant hoses lead up underneath the intake manifold is because it's where the thermostat and water pump is located, down inside of here. Now the water pump was one of the weakest parts of this engine, and that's because its housing was made of plastic and would leak. Now it's driven off of a counter shaft from the tensioner through a tooth belt system underneath this cover here, and it's pretty difficult to replace because you have to remove this entire air intake to get to it. Now underneath the vehicle, just in front of the oil pan, we have the auxiliary cooling pump, and it's responsible for circulating coolant throughout the engine after you turn it off so it cools down properly. Now just north of that coolant pump is the actual water pump, in and behind all of those hoses inside of there. Up at the front of the Mark 6 GTI we have a McPherson strut style suspension, where we have the spring of the top integrated into the strut, where it goes into this steel steering knuckle at this pinch bolt. Now some people may face difficulty removing the strut from this pinch bolt because it often rusts and gets stuck inside of here. Over here we have the sway bar and a nice long end link that attaches to the strut at the top here. Now the lower control arm on this vehicle has been upgraded from a Passat to an aluminum arm. The original is actually a stamped steel arm. Over here we have an aluminum subframe. We have the inner and outer tie rods and the CV axle and the sway bar. Now on the left side wheels on the front of the rear, there is a wear level indicator that's located inside of the brake caliper to tell you when the pads are worn out. Now the front hubs are bolted onto the knuckles, which makes bearing replacement fairly easy. You don't need to press. We've also got a replaceable bolted on ball joint. Out at the back of the GTI we have an independent rear suspension, which is what makes this vehicle really good at handling. Here we have the rear lower control arm that attaches the coil spring. We have the shock absorber, which attaches to the knuckle and goes up inside of the wheel well. We've also got the upper control arm here. We have the front toe link inside of here, and the trailing arm over here. And here's a look at that rear suspension from underneath. You can see that the sway bar link attaches to the trailing arm and then goes over to the sway bar over to the other side. Now attached to this lower control arm is a little ride height sensor to adjust the front headlight aim. Now replacing rear wheel bearings on these are pretty easy. They're just bolted on to the rear knuckle. Now up inside of here we have the brake master cylinder, which shares its fluid with the slave cylinder for the clutch. Now behind that we have the brake booster, and if you follow the line for the brake booster, it goes to this giant vacuum pump, which is driven off of the exhaust camshaft. Now if you follow the brake lines from the master cylinder, it goes behind the firewall to the ABS actuator inside of here. Now the front brakes on the Mark 6 GTI are just a single piston floating caliper with a disc rotor. Now at the back, the brakes are very similar to the front with just a single piston floating caliper on a disc. Now at the back here we have the parking brake mechanism. When this cable activates, this lever is going to turn, and that's going to cause these two pads to squeeze the disc rotor. Now way up at the back of the engine here we have the turbocharger, which is also part of the exhaust manifold. We have the exhaust side over on this side and the intake over on that side there. At the bottom of the turbocharger we have the charge intake tube that takes that boosted air out to the intercooler. Now looking at this turbo, we got cooling lines and oil lines that go into cooling and lubricating this turbocharger. At the side here we have the electrically actuated diverter valve that would redirect boosted air back into the intake when you let off the gas. And here's a clearer look at that turbo. We have the turbo bypass valve here and that diverter valve down here. Now the exhaust system in this vehicle starts of course at the exhaust manifold and the turbocharger. It'll then make its way through the downpipe into the flex pipe over here and then out to the rest of the exhaust system over here. The exhaust is then going to make its way through the catalytic converter over here and through this long pipe over to the mid muffler over here and then out to the back. The exhaust is then going to be sent through the rear muffler, which has dual outlets on the GTI. Now underneath the vehicle we have a plastic gas tank which is located more on the right side, while the muffler is located on the left side. Now just on the right side of the vehicle is where the fuel filter is located. Now just above the rear muffler and the subframe is where the charcoal canister is located, just behind the gas tank. Now if you follow these lines up, the leak detection pump is located inside of the right side rear wheel well. So here we've got an overall system diagram of some of the vacuum lines on this engine as it pertains to the evap system. Here we have the evap canister, which is a donut shape and sits underneath the spare wheel well. We have the leak detection pump, which draws a vacuum on the entire evap system to make sure there's no harmful gases escaping. We've got the purge lines that go out to the throttle body, and the brake booster, which is driven off of its own vacuum pump. And that's a wrap on the mechanicals of the Mark 6 GTI. Make sure you follow me on Instagram to find out what the next car review is going to be, and subscribe for more videos just like this one.